I've got two sets of data here, and I've got 60 observations. I took samples from the stuff that you gave me, so I've got two samples of 60. One is of what people said they thought they would earn in 10 years' time, and the other is what they thought the average of the class earnings would be in 10 years' time. So if you look at that, we've got these two graphs. Histograms have been drawn, and they've got the same bin sizes and everything. If you look, the numbers along the bottom are the same, and this thing here is the same. It's always important if you're comparing two graphs to make sure that these things are the same, otherwise you make false claims. Okay, so what can we say about either of those? Well, this one here seems to be sort of more squashed in, and it seems to be a bit lower. The mean looks like it's about here, whereas here the mean looks a little bit higher. So what we could say is that the own income seems more spread than the predicted class average income. So just looking at the graph, we've got some idea. For the class average income seems to be sort of clustered around this middle bit here, whereas there's more of a spread and more people who think that they can earn more than 160,000 than there are people who think that the class average will be 160,000. And that in itself is interesting because it does show sort of an inherent understanding of the central limit theorem, which you don't need to know about, but it's interesting anyway. Okay, so how you get your statistics, you will need to know how to do this. So you go to the Tools menu in Excel. So that's up here. You can see where it says Tools. You do your drop down and you find Data Analysis and you go, it's not there. So you go to Add-ins and you go Analysis Tool Pack and you go OK. And you hope that next time you go Tools and you've got Data Analysis there, and we're using descriptive statistics. So that shows you how I get to that. Then I click on descriptive statistics and I get this thing here. So this is my data. I've got my individual amounts and I've got my average amounts here. So my input range is this one. Now, this label's in the first row. This particular question occurs in a lot of these dialog boxes. And if you see here, I've got the word individual, and then I've got all the data underneath it, and then I've got the word average and the data underneath it. Now, when I outlined it, I went from C1 to D61, so that means I'm including C1, that top cell. Because I've included that top cell that has a word in it, or a label, I tick that and say, yes, I do have labels in the first row. If instead I had started at the second one, I would not tick it and say labels in the first row. Now, it's important you do this because if you get it wrong, you end up leaving out a piece of data and all your analysis is wrong, and you get things wrong in the quiz, which you don't want to do. Okay, so I'll just quickly do that here. So I go descriptive statistics, okay, input range, so I go Control-Shift down, and then to the right. So that gives me my range C1 to D61. And then I've got my labels in the first row. And then I want my output. Now, the stupid thing every one of these dialog boxes does is they're badly programmed. If you click on that little radio button, that should be the thing that highlights, but it isn't. It's this thing here that highlights. So if you then click the place you want it to go, it will wreck that and you'll have to outline your data again. So always click output range and click in that box first. And say we'll put it down here for now because it's a bit of a mess at the moment. So my output range, that's going to be the top left-hand corner. And then I decide, what do? I want my summary statistics, and later on we're going to find confidence intervals as well. So I'll go summary statistics and go OK. And it produces this stuff down here, which is quite hard to read, so you always make your columns wider. I'm just double-clicking up the top here so that we can see what's going on. So that's what I've done there. So it says where it's going to be, click OK, and we get that.